Hello, UAE Grow Your Finances community.
Where we discuss how to make your money work for you as opposed to the other way around, and how best to grow your finances within the UAE. Here, we flip challenges around and create ideas, opportunities, and possibilities so that we can all succeed together, because there are enough seats for everyone at this table. Today, it is just Ross and myself. And we have a special topic for today, which we would like to just take a pause from some guests for the Christmas season. Take it easy today, give you a little bit of a shorter episode, and recap a little bit, let's say. So we're going to have a little discussion topic, and then we're going to get into Ross's feedback on his investment strategy before versus now, how it's changed over the years and how it's changed since he's learned and grown. And it will continue to evolve and change, of course, as the times change. And he'll be sharing his tweaks he's made, the things that he now finds beneficial that he didn't know about before, things that have really opened his mind to new possibilities. So we'll get into that. That's going to be juicy, juicy. So Ross, are you ready to make finance fun?
Absolutely.
In 3, 2, 1.
Fun.
Today's discussion topic is, what is success? And how does it link to CEOs wearing the same t-shirt every day? What's up with that? That's something that Ross actually talks about a lot. He's like trying to figure out what it is that makes CEOs wear the same plain clothes every day. And obviously, you know, the obvious one is that it saves time and energy, and they don't have to put energy into making that decision. However, I think there's a little more to it. What do you think, Ross?
Well, I think there's a secret for success. And some people, I would say the big CEOs of this world, have an extra secret for success. I think that there's some sort of magical way that they run their businesses, do the day-to-day lives, and have whatever they have around them all the time. So when it comes to this, I think it is just part of their success routine. But it's so weird. It's like almost like a cult. You got, like, for example, big CEOs of this world wearing black V-neck t-shirts.
I actually disagree with you. I'm going to disagree and create some interesting conversation here.
Okay.
I recently saw, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this because the Kardashians pop up on social media all over the place, whether you click or not, whether you listen or not. This one I happened to listen to because it grabbed my attention. Kim Kardashian was talking about how they have scammed the system. And that was like the title and the thing that grabbed me. And she was basically saying how shocked she is that they scammed, in inverted commas, the system, meaning that they did things their own way and it worked. They became one of the most famous families worldwide. Whether you love them or hate them, they are one of the most famous families worldwide. But she seems to think that they scam the system. Okay, now they have done some dodgy dealings, and I don't fully agree with the way they have worked. I have to put it out there. We believe in honest, ethical practice. However, they did do things their own way and it worked. So I don't think that there's one size fits all secret formula. I don't believe in that theory.
No, neither do I, to be honest. I just see that certain people have certain ways of doing things and it works for them. For example, I keep on telling you how all these famous YouTubers have this one golden lamp in the back right-hand corner whenever they film. I'm sure many of you have seen it. And if you haven't, when you watch big YouTubers, have a look, because you see this golden lamp that is just in the corner there. I still haven't got one. We will be moving to a townhouse probably in the near future. And once we do, definitely I will buy at least one for each room.
If that is something that puts in your mind that you are one of them and makes you believe it every day and act the part every day, then go for it.
I think you just touched on something that is the reason, well, one of the reasons why big CEOs, big businessmen, the richest people in the world all wear one t-shirt or do one thing is because they've seen someone else in their past do that thing. And it creates a trend for the rich and powerful. So therefore, they put this in their mind that now I'm wearing this V-neck black t-shirt, just like Mark Zuckerberg. And so from now onwards, I'm going to act, I'm going to work, I'm going to make money like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Another touch point is the beginning part of that question. What is success? And I think that's a big factor here in why they dress that way. Is that leading you onto anything?
No, not at all.
Personally, I think it's because they're not chasing the money for the money. I think it's because they actually believe in their goal and what they're trying to achieve more than anything else. They're not chasing the cars. They're not chasing the mansions. They're not chasing the look at me lifestyle. They are on a mission to build something meaningful that they believe is meaningful, that's close to their hearts. And that's what makes them successful in inverted commas. So when people think of success, they think of materialistic things, right? And I think that that is what misleads people because they're thinking of the end goal in terms of flashy things, but they're not paying as much attention to the mission, the passion, and the company that they're building.
True. At the end of the day, people set up a vision, they set up a mission for not only their company, for themselves as a personal success. And once they achieve those goals, those visions, those missions, to them, that's success. Maybe for others, it might not be enough or it might be too much, but we all have our own visions, our own goals, our own way of seeing success. And if you personally do not have an idea of the way that you see success, I really suggest you sit down one day for half an hour, 45 minutes, jot a few things down on a piece of paper, what you believe is your success, and work towards it. Because if there's no goal, there's no mission, there's no vision in front of you, you are going somewhere, but you don't know where you're going.
I think, as I said, the mistake that a lot of people make is chasing the flash.
Correct.
And working towards something so that it feeds their own ego, so that they can say, look at me, world. And I think that when you reach a certain level and you get there and you have the flash, you realize that the world isn't really looking at you in the way that you thought that they would. They're just wanting it for themselves, number one. And a lot of people become envious, number two. And so it never feels like enough. It doesn't fulfill you in the way that you thought it would. So I think that the key for many people is simplicity. And I believe in always questioning what society is selling to you, because that is just another business trying to make money off of the masses. So I think to once again flip things around and kind of cleanse yourself of all of that conditioning and all of those messages of, if you have this sports car, you will feel this way. If you dress this certain way or look this certain way, you will feel this certain way. To cleanse yourself of all of that and to say, what is meaningful to me as an individual? And then to simplify your life and to go after that. Because all of the companies that we have naturally aligned with have been companies on an ethical mission. They have been companies that are setting out to make a change within the world. And meeting these people has been the greatest honor and inspiration. And the way that I'm viewing them is what people are aiming for when they're in that sports car. They want people to look at them with that admiration. And yet, these are people changing the world, fulfilling themselves, and they have people looking at them with that admiration. Is that not better?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely not commercialized. So you're not going to have as many people looking at you because it's not out in the open in front of your eyes.
Who cares though? Because at the end of the day, if you're feeling that you're completing your own meaningful mission, you don't need anybody looking at you. That's just what people seem to aim for.
Correct.
But what I'm saying is these CEOs or whatnot, they have it all.
Correct. And at the end of the day, these people that are doing those ethical missions, they don't want anyone really looking at them. They don't care about that.
Exactly.
So that it means nothing to them.
Exactly. It's the work they're doing.
Correct. It's what they're achieving within their missions, their goals, their inspiration, their motivation. This is what they care about.
And that's what makes it sustainable, the company that they're building.
Absolutely.
No matter how much success it reaches or what levels they take it to, they continue and they keep going because it's not about that. It's about the mission and it's about what they're doing within the world. So I think that that's a big reason why CEOs wear simple t-shirts, big time CEOs, all the big names of the world are walking around in simple outfits. Okay, Elon Musk sometimes goes a little bit outrageous with his choices, but he's another story. He's like very eccentric. But yeah, I think that that's the hidden secret. Anything else you guys are thinking of? Let us know.
But I would also like to touch on one more thing. You spoke about it earlier, and it's time. It's conveniency, because at the end of the day, time is the most important asset we have in this planet. Life gets swallowed up so quickly. For example, especially in Dubai, we moved to Dubai just over a year ago, and it feels like we've moved here a month ago. So it's been a very quick, fast pace, and life is becoming fast pace. It's becoming quick. It's becoming like you don't even have time. You wake up in the morning, you go to sleep. This is what it's become. So time is money. Time is the success. So I think these CEOs, they think, if I have 100 black t-shirts in my cupboard and I don't have to spend half an hour selecting an outfit, that is a lot of time saved.
My recommendation to them, get a few pairs of neutral pants and then mix up the colors of your t-shirts. Problem solved.
I should do that myself.
Just kidding. The black looks good. Okay, so on to the topic for today, the main topic for today. Ross's investment strategy before versus now, how it's changed and what you have discovered and learned along the way in your journey. We're going to get into that. Ross, you ready to make finance fun?
Absolutely.
In 3, 2, 1,
fun.
So we had a post the other day on our group about crypto, and our group member wanted to know what scares people off when it comes to crypto. And we could actually cover that topic another time too, in full, and maybe invite some guests and discuss it in depth. But I commented below that post and I said that you invested in crypto a few years back and you had money stolen. And you never went back there. You never really considered it again because you were scared off by it. And the comments that followed were speaking about how much it has evolved in the past few years and how much safer it is nowadays. And that it's really not very probable that you would get money stolen these days. And although I did have this discussion topic down for today already, it got me thinking further about how your investment strategy really has changed and how your experiences have really shaped it and led you in this direction today. And that's not to say that this is the way. As we always say, everybody has their own way that works for them. Everybody has their own history. Everybody has figured it out their own way. There are so many different avenues you can take when it comes to investing. But yours has changed a lot over the years and your eyes have been open to a lot of new possibilities too. So I enjoy hearing you talk about it because I learn so much from you when you talk about it to me. Even though I'm not really interested in the topic, I still learn a lot about it. And I have really improved when it comes to saving and investing and finances in general, wouldn't you say?
That is very true. Very, very true.
So my hopes for our listeners is that they can benefit in the same way from hearing you talk about it. So please enlighten us, and I would love to hear you talk about it. I've never heard you talk about it start to finish, so I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Great. So when we talk about my investment strategy, I'm going to speak about my investment strategy probably around the same time where I got taken for a few bucks in the crypto market, as Kim just mentioned recently. So I'll talk about my investment strategy after that because, like she said, it did shape the way I invested. I invested in a very scared and traumatized way. And today is a completely different strategy. It's a strategy of confidence. It's a strategy of motivation. It's a strategy of getting to where I would like to be financially, where I can be able to pay myself without someone else paying me. So I would like to start off with safe, solid foundation. I've spoken about this over and over again on the group, on the podcast, everywhere, because it's such a strong belief in mine that has not changed over the past. The only way it's changed is the way that I am doing it today. So first of all, a safe, solid foundation, you need to look at your emergency fund. Emergency fund is so important, especially in a country where you do not have a passport of that country. Okay? So when you talk about an emergency fund, it changes for everyone, right? But for me, an emergency fund, it's 3 to 4 times my expenses for a month. So the way I did it in the past with my emergency fund is I put that 30 to 40,000 dirham tucked away in a bank account, not earning me anything. However, it was easily accessible that if, God forbid, I lost my job and I had to go back to my country, I would have that emergency fund ready to go, ready to use so that I can look after my family and myself.
Sounds reasonable.
So nowadays, I have my emergency fund sitting in a WEO bank account, earning 5.5% a year. Therefore, my emergency fund is doing something for me. Plus, if I lost my job, I can immediately take that money out and I can use it when I go back to my own country. So we went from earning nothing on this emergency fund to earning something on this emergency fund.
Sounds more than reasonable.
So now let's get on to some safe investments that I personally put my money.
So that's your emergency fund done. So
That's my emergency fund done when you look from the past and you look to now.
In the past, did you used to add to it every month?
No, you don't add to this. You add to your investments. You never add to your emergency fund. Your emergency fund should be a stable amount that you believe is enough to last you 3 to 4 months if you lose your job today.
All right. So you just do that. You just build that up. And once it's built up, you leave it there and you let it grow.
I let it grow. Back in the day, I let it just sit and create dust. Today, I let it grow. It's a smart move forward, but it's also a move that the UAE market has taken. So WEO bank account was not available in the past, and a bank account was not available in the past paying you interest. So it's fantastic that we are moving forward in this area.
That really, truly is fantastic. And exciting.
Because back home, we have bank accounts giving us interest. Here, it has never been a thing because I think it's regarding halal investing and so on. But today we have a bank account, electronic bank account, so, it's online bank account that is paying you an interest every single month.
Great.
So now we'll get on to my safer side of my investment portfolio. So I believe that you should have at least 50% of your money tucked away in investments that have absolutely no or minimal risk. For me, that was ETFs back in the day. Okay, I'm not here to burn anyone that is an ETF investor because there are a lot of them out there and a lot of them out there that are doing well. However,
so it's still strategy, and it's still a strategy that works for many people. It's just something that isn't working for you for certain reasons, and you'll go into that. So we want to make that clear. We respect people who take this route, and people who feel that this is the way for them and they feel comfortable with that and they feel it works for them.
Correct.
That's absolutely fine. but Ross is just sharing his way. And we actually have a lot of people who speak about the way of the ETFs on our group, and they are very helpful, very knowledgeable, and we respect them very much.
And we will actually do a podcast in the near future with a ETF expert, should we say, to dive into that side of investments, because we want to talk about all sorts of investments on this podcast and not just our own.
Yes.
So we'll get into now this side. 50% of my investment money should be locked away in a safe bucket, should we say. So a safe bucket, back in the day, it was ETFs. It was a few different ETFs, which is index funds, that made up 50% of my portfolio. That if you would like to understand more about ETFs, let us know. We will do a little recap on our podcast on this area. However, a lot of people are aware of ETFs today. So nowadays, because my ETFs journey for me was a bit too slow, I am looking at retiring at an earlier age than most people want to retire. And therefore, ETFs is not something that is going to help me in that goal.
So you can still have it in the background, but not a part of your main strategy to retire earlier.
Correct. What I'm talking about here is I'm talking about my big chunks of money. I'm not talking about your small investments here and there. I'm talking about the bigger chunks and the way I invest. And I'm also not going to go into detail in every single investment. It's just the way I am investing.
So this is how you are aggressively working towards your goal of
Correct.
retiring as early as possible.
Correct. Now we'll talk about the 50%, should we say, that is invested today in my portfolio. So the likes of Beehive, the likes of Stake, the likes of Smart Crowd. Every month I'm getting paid profits, returns from these investment platforms. Some people might say, but this is not minimal risk. This is quite risky. For someone who has been investing in all these three platforms for the last 2.5 years, I will safely say that this is a safe way of investing. I'm getting my returns every single month, same date, same time. It is as easy as having a fixed deposit investment in a bank account.
And you compound it, right?
Correct. Everything I get on a monthly basis when I get paid out, let's say my rental income, when we talk about Stake and Smart Crowd, and when we talk about my profits coming back from Beehive, I put it straight back into the platforms. Therefore, I am compounding my profits. You used a good word, eh?
I'm learning.
So this is where I have around 40 to 50% of my money tucked away, giving me an average of, I would say Beehive is giving me an average of around 10% a year, and Stake and Smart Crowd rental income alone is giving me around 6 to 7%. So you still have your compounded profits as well as your appreciation, because you are invested in Dubai property market, which is really stable and really aggressive when we talk about returns.
So is that all for your safe, solid foundation? Beehive, Smart Crowd, and Stake?
As well as my emergency fund.
As well as your emergency fund. But your emergency fund is first, safe, solid foundation second, and that is Smart Crowd, Beehive, and Stake.
Correct.
Nothing else?
Nothing else.
For
When we
now.
talk about a big chunk of my money.
Okay, and that's for now, right?
Correct.
All right.
Now let's go on to some risky stuff. I mean, because I personally have jumped into some risky investments lately. I would say back in the day, a large chunk of my money was tied away in ETFs. I would say more than 50%, as well as I had a large chunk of money tucked away in a fixed deposit in a bank that was paying me maybe 4 to 5% a year, which is just not cutting it for me today.
Okay. I want to say here, and this is what I've learned from listening in on your meetings and you speaking to professionals in the investment world, etc., that we're classifying this as risky. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of it really, truly is risky if you're doing it the right way.
Correct. And with the right professional.
Yes. So we're classifying it as risky to be safe because we don't know who you're working with. We don't know how you're working with it. So this is classified as risky, but it's not actually necessarily very risky. It's a bold investment. Let's use the word bold.
Correct. It's risky per se when you're talking about the type of investment. However, if you're doing it right, if you've done your research, if you firmly believe in it, then
And you have experience.
Correct. Then it's an investment that will pay you more than what you're going to get if you are playing it safe.
All right, let's get into that because that sounds juicy.
So all in all, I would say I have around between 40 to 50%, maybe even more these days, tied away in 2 different private equities. Okay, for those of you who don't know what private equities are, they are private companies that have offered a funding round where you can buy the same shares that the CEO or founder of this company owns. What it means, it is not on the public stock exchange. It is still a private company. However, you still own a percentage of that private company.
Which is really cool. And I can see you light up when you talk about private equity investments.
I love private equity investments. And bear in mind, I looked at many private equities before I selected these 2 over the last 6 months to a year. So don't just jump into whatever private equity someone proposes to you, because at the end of the day, like I said, you need to have the right professional that is not taking advantage of you, and you need to know your risk level, because some private equities are a lot riskier than others. The 2 private equities that I jumped into are not startup companies. Well,
you didn't exactly jump into them.
Yeah,
You did the research.
I walked into them. I would say the 2 private equities that I walked into are not startup companies. They're both established companies with great track records, with lots of revenue coming in on a monthly basis. So it was a lot less riskier than what other people are investing in when we talk about private equities today.
And very importantly, the people involved have excellent track records.
Correct.
And you know exactly which questions to ask.
Correct.
I want to insert here that there were some private equities that you seriously looked into and you met up with the teams, you spent a lot of time and energy, and you didn't go forward with them, even though they were promising, just because it wasn't solid, you know?
Correct. Because at the end of the day, guys, whatever money you're investing in anything, it's your hard-earned money. It is so hard for me to part with cash that I need to do my research over and over again. Then, once I know that I want to go ahead, then I come to my wife and I beg her. Then I come to my wife and I have to literally explain it to her back to front, because I also don't want to go into an investment that is blindsiding my wife, because at the end of the day, you invest in your hard-earned money, you invest in your hard-earned family's money into these private equities or these investments, and you need to know, is it going to pay out at the end of the day?
I remember you went to go meet with a company that actually I found online that I was like very passionate about, and they had a private equity opportunity, and you posted on our group that you were about to go to some exciting meeting, you update them how it goes. And a lot of the group members were like, why don't you just tell us what it is? And they were kind of agitated by that post. And they thought that you were kind of riling them up for something that you were about to like sell to them. But actually you were just genuinely updating as you go along on your journey.
Yeah.
You know, as you were meeting with certain private equities and deciding still, and you actually decided against it eventually.
100%. I would never post on a group about something that I firmly don't believe that you guys will make money from, because around 95% of the things that I post on the group are personal investments that I have taken out.
Yeah, and I think that what people need to also realize is that you're human and you're an investor who gets excited about the game. So when you share things like that, it's literally just sharing your passion, you know. And I think sometimes we forget that not everybody gets excited over investments like that, you know. So some people are just actually looking for do this. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. You kind of have to find your own way and your own individuality in it. So I feel that you sharing your individual way should actually encourage other people to do the same for themselves.
Correct.
And sharing your journey as it goes along, your imperfect journey, should be the real example for others who are following a journey of imperfection that involves failures, that involves not a smooth, curated, shareable social media looking journey.
Absolutely.
That's true investing. That's a true investor's journey. So guys, please bear that in mind when we're sharing. We're not sharing something as a curated company. It's an individual, an imperfect, flawed individual finding his way. All right. So on that note.
And long story short, the private equities are doing super well. The most recent one I took out was very recent, so I don't have updates yet from the company. However, on a monthly basis, I'm getting updates from the first company that I invested in about 8 to 9 months ago. And profits are up 40% compared to what they budgeted, on track to 2 to 3 times in my money within 2 years. So I can safely say that it was the best decision I've ever taken when I'm talking about these private equities. But guys, not all private equities are fairy tales. So please do your due diligence before you jump into something, and do it with the right person. If you don't trust the person, run away.
And they can be very alluring.
Yeah. And do not come to me and say, Ross said private equities were the best investment, so I did one and I lost all my money. I'm telling you now, as a non-professional in the financial world, I did it, it worked for me, but I did it a certain way, and that's the reason why it worked for me. So if you guys are struggling to find someone that you trust, like I said, I can put you in touch with my person that might be able to assist you with finding something that you personally want to put your money towards.
We do have an episode coming up on this topic, so
correct.
Stay
It will
tuned.
be probably around the mid or end of January.
So subscribe, guys. Make sure you're following. All right, next.
Okay, another thing I would like to talk about is the UAE IPOs. Oh, these things are exciting. They're so amazing because every single one of them I've done in the last, I would say, 3 months have given me a minimum of 40% profit. I just sold Pure Health IPO the other day for a profit of 75%.
Whoa.
So the way it works is you buy into a IPO before it launches on the stock market. You subscribe to it. You put a certain amount of money. There's normally a minimum of 5,000 dirham. And what happens is if it's oversubscribed, obviously you do not get the full 5,000 dirham worth of shares. But depending on how oversubscribed it is, they will allocate you a certain amount of shares and refund you the rest of the money. So I have invested in the last few months in Dubai Taxi. I've invested in Pure Health. I've invested in Salik. I've invested in Diwa and a few others. All of them, the way I have done it is I have subscribed to the investments. As soon as it launches on the stock market, it takes around 2 to 3 weeks. As soon as it's launched, it does a big jump in terms of value and I sell it immediately. Obviously, there's another way of doing it. You can hold these investments because these Dubai companies are exploding, are doing really well, and I'm sure over time they will give some really good dividends and really good profit. However, the way I'm doing it, because I don't really like having my money in the stock market, is I invest, it pumps, and I sell. And I've done really well making a few thousand dirham profit out of that from doing absolutely nothing.
All right. Where else do you have your money?
Where else do I have my money? I would say that is basically where I have my money nowadays. I have around at least 30 to 40% tied up in private equities. I have around 50% tied up in my Safe Solid Foundation, including my emergency fund. And the rest, I have this money to play down on the IPO market. So this is my strategy at the moment, and it's working. Another thing I'm looking into right now is a hedge fund, another very risky term. And I'm a bit embarrassed saying it because you get shamed when you talk about these type of investments. However, it's with the right person. Once again, they have a track record of 20% on average return on your investment for their clients for the last 7 years.
Wow.
And a hedge fund is basically a fund that is managed by a group of very skilled professional investors, And basically this fund you can buy into. So let's say I have 10,000 dirham. I put it in this fund, and every single year I'm going to get 20% of my money back. Well, it differs depending on how the stock market has done, depending on how the stocks that they've invested in have done. So the last 7 years, they have averaged out 20% return on their investment for their clients a year, which is absolutely incredible. I'm looking into this as we speak as well.
So this section of investments, how does it differ to what you used to do before?
What I used to do before is I used to invest in individual stocks based on what I personally feel I should invest in. But what I realized over the last few years is that it doesn't actually matter how well a company is doing. If the stock market is crumbling, the stock market is crumbling and everything is falling. So whether the company is making crazy profits, whether they are not making profits at all, it honestly depends on what the stock market is doing. Yes, some people go in the green a little bit more because of their performance and how they are doing. But as an individual investor, as an average Joe that probably doesn't have too much details and information about the stock market, I would not be backing myself anymore, picking stocks. I would rather back the professionals. Yeah. And that's why I'm looking at the hedge fund. And that's the only way I would invest in the stock market is through a hedge fund. Because a hedge fund is normally an exclusive thing, something that you need to be invited to, and the minimum buy-in is quite high. So you are dealing with institutional investors, you're dealing with people with a lot of money, and you're dealing with people that have the risk appetite to invest a huge portion of money into something like this.
Interesting. So next question. If you had some excess money, let's say an excess $500,000, and you weren't afraid to lose it, what would you do with it?
I would most probably put it in either a juicy private equity or put it in this hedge fund and just keep on reinvesting the money back. The great thing about this hedge fund is most hedge funds or big time investments and stuff like that don't allow you to just take your money out when you need it. This hedge fund allows you to take your money out without any penalties. Because you're dealing with advanced investors. You're not dealing with the average Joe on the side of the road that wants to take his investment out, put it back in, take his investment out, put it back in, because you never build wealth this way.
All right. So I always add a little bit of a funny aspect. And I always speak about the manifesting side and make a little bit of a joke of myself too. So I want to say, I used to be obsessed with the games The Sims. I don't know if anybody else played that growing up. And honestly speaking, if I still had a chance now, I would probably play it again because it was just so perfect for manifesting. And back in the day, I made a sim of you and a sim of me before we had a little family. And you can choose jobs for the sim. So I built like a little home that I liked. You can choose jobs. And your job, we were both at home, working from home. Okay, so we were our own bosses. Your job on the little sim laptop was a hedge fund investor. I really think I manifested it.
It's a sign. I need to get into this hedge fund.
Yeah, and you can choose. So you make your sim like an investor and they become a hedge fund investor, or you can choose an angel investor. I don't know what that is.
An angel investor is someone that invests in many private equities.
Oh, really?
And startups and stuff like that. Angel investors are basically a company that has a lot of capital that goes around investing in startups, businesses that are going to, they believe, are going to explode.
Okay, great. One of them, either the angel or the hedge fund, had a higher potential of making like more money. But I think I made you hedge fund just because it sounded cool, like sounded like more interesting. And so I think I manifested this right now, what we're experiencing. So maybe I should get back to the Sims. Another interesting thing is our Sims had a baby. It was a boy. Its name was Gabriel. And we have our little baby sitting right here, Gabriel. So if that's not proof that manifesting works, guys, I don't know what is. On to the next thing. What are your plans for the near future for investing? What are things that you want to get into? Other things that you really want to get into when you have the capital to do so?
For me, I love the private equity game. So for me, I would personally like to be a serial business investor. And that's just basically what I would like to do in the future. For example, the one that I invested in around 9 months ago, I hope to 2 to 3 times it and just reinvest it back into 3 different private equities. And eventually I would like to be like one of those guys on Shark Tank with gray hair or no hair, having 50 to 60 businesses that they personally are invested in, and they are watching them blow up.
That's super cool. What about the investments that Moment have to offer?
Yeah, Moment is very exciting, and I'm watching it with my eagle eye. Aaron and the team are doing an incredible job, and I think they're getting closer to their funding mark that they are looking for. And once they finish this funding round, they are cash strapped and they are ready to take on the world. And I don't think they will do another funding round after that.
But I'm talking about the investments that they have to offer on their platform.
Yeah, they got some really cool investments. It's all actual investments. So you can invest in whiskey barrels, you can invest in mature, old investment pieces of wine.
Like tangible investments, right?
Or tangible investments that you can use crypto to invest with on their blockchain. So it's super
digital
exciting.
Copies of famous art pieces and things like that. That's interesting. That's something fun to get into.
Absolutely. I mean, I personally would maybe buy 1 or 2 of his items on their website. I mean, we are actually talking about investing in his company as we speak. So this could be something that definitely is something down the line that we will be jumping into.
And you have invested into one of their projects too.
Correct. I've been really invested in one of their projects regarding sustainability, and it's all based on sustainability for my home country, South Africa. So
see, this guy has money tucked away everywhere, because I asked him earlier, do you have money anywhere else? Any other investments? He was like, no. That's about it. And now I just thought of another one. So you do have money tucked in little pockets.
But when I spoke about the investment strategies, I was speaking about the big pockets of money. I'm not talking about the small ones.
Got it.
When you talk about the small ones, sometimes I lose count of where I put my money because I put it so many places. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm a huge money mover. I move money here, I move money there. And I personally think it's the only way to make money. So, yeah.
All right. What about fine arts?
Fine arts is also another topic that I'm looking into as we speak. I mean, the richest of rich always have really, really rare art pieces around their house. They also invest in art all the time. So if the rich and famous are investing in art, there's a reason why they're doing that. And apparently the art world have really exploded over the last few years. When you talk about buying an art piece and selling it within 1 year, you can't see returns like you see in the art world. Obviously, it's risky once again, but imagine owning a piece of art of this famous artist that, let's say, passes away. You personally own a piece of art of someone that can never make it again, you know? So there are a lot of ways where you can make huge amount of money in the art world. Once again, you need to use the right people. Don't just go and buy a piece of art on Facebook and think that you're going to make money from it.
That's one of the things that excites me most. This is one of the investments that really gets me going, is investing in art, just because I'm more of a tangible type, creative type, as I always say, and I love artistic expression in any form, and I would love to be a part of that world. Truly, it would be a dream come true. What else would you like to get involved in? Is there anything else?
Well, there is something else, and something where we have to give a little bit of an update for our podcast listeners. We are investing in a family home.
Woohoo!
And we are at the stage where the bank has now given us a pre-approval, and we're on the way to securing this townhouse. So we're super excited about it. It's just another way that we can optimize our investing strategy, because at the end of the day, we get in our live out allowance and we put it straight back into a property instead of paying someone else's mortgage off.
I've already picked out all the furniture, which is not, in fact, an investment. However, when you resell it, you can buy it fully furnished and it will be absolutely stunningly beautiful.
That makes me very nervous, guys, but it is what it is. We're super excited to finally have a home in the UAE. We've never had our own home in the UAE. We've only purchased a studio as an investment. This would be our own home where we live in personally, our own four walls.
So speaking about property investments, do you have any future plans for the property market on a larger scale? Future, we're talking your goals, your dreams. What would you like to do if you had bigger, because we'll have listeners who have a lot more cash flow than we do personally. So for their sake, just to share, bounce around ideas, any ideas in that realm?
I personally would like to flip a few off-plan properties. So you buy basically what it's going to look like. Once it's built, you sell it off. This is a good way of making money. A lot of people do that. So definitely to own one or two off-plan properties, sell it off at the launch, buy a few more, and keep on building that property portfolio. This is definitely something I'm excited about. But this is, I think, at a later stage.
And what is your opinion on having investment properties worldwide to like kind of spread out your portfolio in terms of investment properties that you're renting out?
It definitely has to be at a stage where I literally do not know what else to invest in, because I've invested in so many things. Then I would only invest internationally. The reason behind it is I like to be in the place where I have invested, because then you can go and check on your investment instead of hoping that the company looking after your investment overseas is doing a good job.
So what you're saying is that it's not as passive as you'd like it to be.
Correct.
All right.
I mean, it could be super passive, but it also could be super dangerous.
And you don't want that kind of stress in your life, right?
Exactly.
Okay, got it. Anything else you'd like to discuss that you do now that you didn't do before? Any reflections that you have to share with us about your investment strategy back in the day and what you have learned since then?
I honestly have no regrets, because it has led me to where I am today, my investment strategy back in the day. I do believe that if I started this back in the day, I would be a little wealthier as a man today. However, it's made me who I am today. It's given me that solid foundation of investment mindset and motivation, I would say, because investment confidence is so important, and you need to go through the strategies. If you have never invested in anything in your life and you want to jump into private equity tomorrow, I highly, highly suggest you do not do that. Make sure that you build your solid foundation. Play around with your solid foundation, something that is less riskier for quite some time. Build up your confidence, and then slowly, if you would like to get into something a little riskier, slowly, not all at once.
And explore it first, right? Just
Correct.
explore, listen and observe before jumping in.
Correct. Because at the end of the day, if you lose a lot of your money that you've worked hard for, it's not a good feeling at all.
And you would know.
Absolutely.
So start as early as possible. So what age are we going to get Gabriel started on this?
Now.
He's 1 year.
No, he's not 1 year. He's 14 months. So it's time to get started.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Anything else you want to share?
Lastly, I would like to say, I hope this is a little disclaimer for everyone that is listening. Do not invest in something you do not know anything about. Okay? If you are listening and you think, wow, Ross knows what he's talking about. Wow, Ross says I should invest in private equity. Don't just do it because I say it's a good investment. Okay, this is my strategy. This strategy is years and years of perfecting. It's not perfect yet. It never will be perfect. I will always try find the next best thing that is going to be better for my strategy. However, at the moment, I'm happy with what I've invested in. Okay, it does not mean that it's the best investment for everyone. So do not take my advice and run with it. If you want to take my advice and do the research. If you have any questions, I'm always here to assist. Okay, so I would like to make that very clear, because what I'm talking about when we talk about private equity, talk about hedge fund investment, when we talk about investing in art, when we talk about investing in wine, these are classified as risky investments, because there are a lot of people out there that will like to scam you on these type of investments. So do not just do it because you want to do it and you think it sounds professional and sounds great.
Got it. So do the research.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for getting to this part. If you've got to this part, we love you all and we really appreciate all the downloads and the listens from your side. And please, if you can, go to the tab and you collect automatic download on your podcast website. We would highly appreciate that. The more downloads that happen of this podcast, the better. The more reach we get to, the more people that are getting a little more financially educated.
And get in touch with us. We love to talk to you guys, genuinely. Some of you guys have become almost like friends, sending voice notes back and forth, and we genuinely love to hear from you. It's always great to connect with people that resonate with you and that you resonate with. So please do get in touch.
Absolutely. And please leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, all of that juicy, delicious things. And one more thing to remember: pay yourself first, because you are worth it.
Money